She knows it's coming. Not because her period is late or early. Not because of a calendar reminder. She knows it by the way her thoughts shift, subtly at first, then violently. It starts with restlessness. A sudden ache in her chest she can't explain. A feeling that something's wrong, but she can't point to what. She questions a sentence someone said 3 days ago. She replays a conversation in her mind. She finds herself scrolling through messages, looking for clues that people are pulling away. Then the fog rolls in. Not the romantic kind that makes the world feel dreamy. The kind that chokes clarity. That blurs logic. That sits on the chest like wait. She looks in the mirror and doesn't recognize the person staring back. Not because her face has changed, but because her self has shifted. What she believed yesterday feels unreachable. What made her laugh a week ago now seems offensive. The music she loved is too loud. The light too sharp. Her skin too tight. She feels like she's unraveling. And yet, the world expects her to function. This is the beginning of her monthly breakdown. A spiral she never asked for. A cycle she doesn't fully understand. A rhythm that doesn't feel natural, it feels like punishment. And for years, she thinks it's just her. That she's weak, dramatic, oversensitive. That she lacks discipline, self-control, emotional maturity. Because every month, like clockwork, she becomes a stranger to herself. What she doesn't know is that millions of women feel the same. And that there's a name for it. PMDD. Premenstrual dysphoric disorder. ***. But no one told her. Not in school. Not in college. Not at the doctor's office. Instead, they called it PMS. They joked. They dismissed. They made memes about it. They said she was overreacting. They made her believe her pain was a punchline. So she kept quiet. She learned to smile while her insides burned. She learned to show up even when her body begged her to stop. She learned to apologize for emotions she didn't choose. And each time it came, it stole something from her. Confidence, relationships, energy, weeks of life. Until she started dreading the second half of every month because she knew what was waiting for her. But here's what no one explained. PMDD isn't about being moody or hormonal. It's a severe, disabling disorder linked to hormonal sensitivity. It can cause extreme depression, irritability, anxiety, even suicidal thoughts. And it happens cyclically, which makes it even more insidious. Because just when she starts to feel better, she knows it will come back. That's the cruelty of PMDD. It gives you windows of clarity, just enough to remember what you feels like. Then it takes it away again. And so she starts to live in fear of her own biology. She counts days, not dreams. She tracks symptoms, not goals. She prepares to lose herself every month, and she does. But the world doesn't stop. No one offers her space to fall apart. She's expected to work, perform, socialize, raise children, cook dinner, smile. So she does it all with a scream trapped in her throat. A scream that says, "I'm not okay." But she never lets it out. Because she's afraid no one will believe her. Because she's afraid they'll say, "It's just your hormones." Because she's afraid that admitting she's struggling makes her unfit for the life she's built. And so she becomes two women. The one everyone sees. And the one who quietly breaks every month behind closed doors. It's a strange thing, to lose yourself every month and still be expected to live as if nothing's changed. Some people think she's being dramatic. Others think she's just not managing stress well. But what they don't see is the war happening inside her. It's not laziness. It's not weakness. It's not a mindset issue. It's a physiological, neurological, hormonal storm. And every time it arrives, it rearranges everything. Her thoughts, her ability to feel joy, her capacity to regulate emotions, her memory, her sleep, her sense of reality. She doesn't know who she'll be when she wakes up each morning. Some days, she feels raw and angry, like every sound is too loud. Other days, she's numb, like nothing matters, not even the people she loves. Then there are days when anxiety grips her so tightly she can't breathe. And others when she can't stop crying and has no idea why. And the worst part? It's predictable. She can map it on a calendar. She can see the days approaching like a train she can't stop. She tells herself she'll prepare better next time. She'll rest more, eat cleaner, set firmer boundaries, but it never matters. Because the cycle always comes. And when it does, it knocks her down harder than she remembered. This is why PMDD is so dangerous. It's not just a health issue, it's an identity thief. It makes her question her worth. It erodes her self-trust. It isolates her from the people who love her most. Because how do you explain that you were fine yesterday but can't get out of bed today? How do you tell your partner that the person they see now isn't really you? How do you look into your child's eyes and pretend you're okay when your mind is telling you to disappear? There's no training for this. There's no emergency kit. There's only survival. And for most women, that survival means learning to fake it. To put on makeup over puffy eyes. To smile through meetings while their chest is caving in. To answer, "I'm fine," when they feel like dying. To clean the kitchen while silently collapsing inside. No one sees the mess behind her eyes. No one hears the thoughts racing at 3 a.m. No one feels the fear she carries that one day, she won't make it through. Because PMDD doesn't just affect the body, it erodes the soul. It chips away at confidence, relationships, trust, self-image. And yet, she keeps going. She keeps showing up, because that's what women do. They survive what no one understands. They bleed in silence. They cry in the shower. They scream into pillows. And they rise the next day like nothing happened. But inside, something has happened. A part of her has cracked again. And she knows that if she doesn't name this pain, if she doesn't learn what's happening, she may lose herself completely. That's when she starts searching. She types "I feel suicidal before my period" into Google. She finds a forum, a post, a thread. She reads about PMDD for the first time. And something clicks. It's not just her. She's not broken. She's not crazy. She's not alone. There's a name. There are others. There are women who understand. There are people who survived. There are treatments, therapies, protocols, language. And in that moment, she feels something she hasn't felt in months. Hope. Not because she's healed, but because she's finally seen. The moment she sees the term PMDD, something shifts in her. Like a door opening in a long, dark hallway. She clicks. She reads. She scrolls. And suddenly, the chaos of the past few years begins to form a shape. She's not just sensitive. She's not just overwhelmed. She has a condition. A pattern. A rhythm. One that has a name, a cycle, and a cause. And most importantly, it's not her fault. That sentence alone feels like a revolution. Because for years, she's blamed herself. For every angry outburst. For every broken friendship. For every failed project, missed appointment, cancelled plan, moment of rage or collapse. She thought it was character. But it was chemistry. She thought she lacked discipline. But it was dysregulation. She thought she was emotionally unstable. But it was neurobiological sensitivity to hormonal shifts. Now the pieces start to come together. PMDD isn't about hormones being too high or too low. It's about how the brain reacts to natural hormonal fluctuations, particularly in estrogen and progesterone. Some women, due to genetic, epigenetic, or neurochemical factors, experience these shifts as severe mental health disturbances. Their nervous system misfires. Their serotonin levels drop. Their emotional regulation systems spiral. And their entire sense of self begins to disintegrate, temporarily, but intensely. And yet, they're told to take a bath, to drink chamomile, to relax, to just get through it. The misunderstanding is staggering. So she dives deeper. She finds research. She listens to doctors. She watches other women's testimonies. She learns about the DSM-5. She sees that PMD is recognized as a legitimate disorder. And she cries. Because now, for the first time, she feels validated. And that validation doesn't just bring comfort. It brings action. She starts tracking her symptoms. Not just her period, but her mood, her energy, her triggers, her thoughts. She starts using tools, mood journals, cycle awareness apps, hormonal support. She learns about SSRIs, CBT, DBT, nutrition, supplementation, trauma-informed therapy. She learns that she's not crazy, she's sensitive. And sensitivity is survivable when you have the right tools. She begins to draw a map of her emotional terrain. She starts to recognize the cliff before she falls. She begins to install ropes, footholds, soft landings. This is not healing in the romantic sense. It's not a miracle story. It's not a fixed in 30 days journey. It's hard. It's slow. It's non-linear. But it's hers. And that alone makes it sacred. Because for the first time, she's not just enduring the cycle, she's understanding it. She notices that the rage isn't just hormonal. It's accumulated silence. It's years of being dismissed. It's the pressure of perfection. It's unmet needs erupting through cracks in her nervous system. She sees the depression isn't random. It's linked to exhaustion, malnourishment, unresolved trauma. It's her body crying for rest, softness, and repair. She stops shaming herself for being affected and starts listening to the messages beneath the symptoms. PMDD, she learns, is not just something to suppress, it's something to decode. It's a language her body speaks, a cycle of transformation, a monthly mirror. And now that she can name it, she can finally begin to work with it, instead of against it. Now that she knows what she's facing, everything starts to change, not overnight, not magically, but consciously. She begins building her month differently. She no longer treats every day as equal. She honors her phases: follicular, ovulatory, luteal, menstrual. She gives names to moods instead of moral labels. Not lazy, but low energy. Not crazy, but sensitive to stimuli. Not weak, but needing space. She reorganizes her calendar. Big meetings now happen in her clear window. Difficult conversations are rescheduled if needed. She gives herself permission to say no. And when the wave of PMD approaches, she no longer braces in fear. She prepares. She knows which supplements help, which boundaries must stay firm, which foods inflame, which relationships trigger, which habits nourish, which environments soothe. She tells her loved ones what to expect. She creates agreements. She writes notes to herself in advance. You are not broken. You are cycling. This will pass. You've survived it before. Your value is not based on your productivity today. She sets up rituals, simple ones. Lighting a candle in the morning. Wearing softer clothes. Playing instrumental music that calms her system. Choosing slower movements. Letting go of social media for a few days. She treats herself as someone worthy of care, even when her mind tries to argue otherwise. And in doing so, she starts building something PMD never taught her. Trust. Trust that the low will end. Trust that she's not starting over each time. Trust that her worth isn't tied to her mood. Trust that being honest with her limits is a form of strength, not failure. Of course, there are still hard days. Days when she forgets everything. When the rage returns louder than before. When the tears come without warning. When the spiral threatens to pull her under. But now, she has tools. She has language. She has allies. She has memories of getting through it. She stops expecting perfection. She starts seeking rhythm. She doesn't ask to be symptom-free. She asks to be supported. And that support isn't just medical. It's communal. It's spiritual. It's environmental. It's internal. She unfollows people who make her doubt her progress. She stops comparing her path to others. She finds a therapist who gets it. She starts journaling, not to track flaws, but to honor patterns. She rewrites the way she speaks to herself. Her inner voice becomes gentler. Not, "Why can't I handle this?" but "This is a hard day. Let's move gently." Not, "Everyone else is fine. What's wrong with me?" but "I'm different. And that difference deserves respect." This shift, though invisible to outsiders, becomes the foundation of her healing. Because true healing isn't loud. It's not flashy. It doesn't always come with milestones or applause. Sometimes, healing is simply recognizing that you're worthy of kindness, even on your worst days. Especially on your worst days. And so she keeps building. Not a perfect life. Not a symptom-free cycle. But a relationship with herself that holds steady through the storm. Because the storm will come. But now, she has shelter. The more she learns about PMDD, the more she sees it's not just about her. It's about the girls growing up today, already doubting their bodies. It's about the mothers who never had a name for their monthly despair. It's about the grandmothers who suffered in silence, never told their stories. It's about the lineage of women who bled quietly, who thought their emotions made them dangerous, who were told to be ladies while their insides screamed. It's about breaking that cycle, not just hormonally, but generationally. She starts to realize something. Every time she honors her symptoms, every time she names her pain, every time she rests without shame, every time she shares her truth, she's not just healing herself, she's healing everyone who came before her, and everyone who will come after. Because PMDD doesn't just steal weeks, it steals voices. It convinces women they are unlovable, unreliable, unstable. It makes them doubt their capacity for joy, connection, creativity. But the moment they name it, the moment they speak, they begin reclaiming every fragment that was lost. She begins to imagine a future where girls are taught about their cycles like sacred rhythms. Where schools have education that includes hormonal mental health. Where doctors take symptoms seriously. Where mood tracking is as normal as brushing your teeth. Where a woman saying "I need space" is seen as wise, not weak. She dreams of mothers teaching their daughters not to fear their own minds. Of partners who listen and adapt, not dismiss. Of workplaces that honor cyclical energy. Of communities that hold space for vulnerability without question. And she knows that future begins with her. With one voice, one story, one truth spoken, again and again. Because PMDD thrives in silence. And silence is exactly what she's no longer willing to carry. So she tells her story. Not perfectly, not all at once, but piece by piece. In comments, in journals, in voice notes, in therapy, in whispers to trusted friends. And each time she does, the shame shrinks. And in that shrinking, something else grows. Strength, compassion, community, clarity, courage. This is what the beginning of healing looks like, not a dramatic recovery montage, but a quiet decision to stop hiding, to choose softness over shame, to choose awareness over avoidance, to choose self-compassion over perfection, to choose voice over silence. She's not done healing. She may never be, but she's no longer lost. She's building a new identity, one that isn't defined by her worst days, but by the courage it takes to survive them. And that makes her powerful beyond measure. If you're watching this and you feel seen, this video is made for you. You are not alone. You are not too much. You are not broken. You are becoming. And every time you rise after the fall, you teach the next girl that it's possible. This is how we end the cycle. Together.